What's up, everybody? It's Mark again with Better at Beach, and we've got a very special guest today. Marcus Martinez.
Yes.
On Instagram, you can find him at Kettlebell Exercises. He is a kettlebell master, and he's going to teach us volleyball players what we can do with kettlebells. So thanks for coming, man.
I appreciate the invite.
Do you want to introduce yourself at all?
Yes.
Talk about what you're doing?
So we're going to be going over some kettlebell movements that are going to make you a better athlete. I have become very passionate about this tool because it's such a versatile tool that really helps build athletic, powerful, strong people, and you can take it anywhere. So I currently work with Kettlebell Kings and Living.Fit to create programs for athletes of all kinds, and it's really fun. I love it.
Yeah, and we're able to bring this stuff out to the beach. So for any beach volleyball players out there, you just want to bring one piece of equipment and get a full workout.
Yep.
Like, what a great tool. We want to know for this video the 5 exercises that every volleyball or beach volleyball player should know.
All right, so I've got 5 movements that I think, first off, most athletes will benefit from building a stronger core, faster hips, more stable, strong shoulders. But for volleyball specifically, because it is so joint unfriendly, you're doing so much stuff on your body that is really hard. I want to try to create some insurance for you so that you will build some strength, build some awareness, build some structural integrity, so that way that will protect you during your matches. So the first movement is going to be a chest supported swing. So I love the kettlebell swing. It's one of my favorite movements, but there is a learning curve. There's a lot of intricate pieces to that we might not all be ready for. So the chest supported swing is a fantastic way to kind of bridge that gap into the movement and still create fast hips and fast hips, stronger glutes that are going to translate into you being a more powerful athlete. This is literally your engine, your glutes. And outside of deadlifts, which a lot of people don't really do, like, what else are we going to do that's in that hinge movement pattern? So
Sure.
That's where chest supported swings are going to come in.
Awesome. Chest supported swings. Really cool. We also have a professional stunt woman with us, the lovely Janelle Haney. Welcome. She's going to be helping us demo and learn.
So the first movement we're going to do a chest supported swing. So what it's going to look like, get the sand out. We're going to bring that bell up into the chest position, so a little bit under the chest, so kind of more like the belly. You're going to pull your shoulders back. So we're trying to keep that engagement in the upper body, and that's what happens with the swing typically, is that bell pulls the person down. So this is reinforcing that upper body engagement. So pinch the scaps, engage the lats, nice neutral neck position, and all I'm gonna do is find that hinge. So driving my hips back and slightly down. So I don't wanna just bend over, I wanna actively pull my hips back so that I bend my knees slightly and just hold this position right here. So notice how your hamstrings are getting that nice stretch, shoulders are above the hips, there's that arch, that extension through your spine. You're keeping that tension on your front line, on that anterior core, because that bell is pushing against your gut. So you're balancing the load so that it's not just putting all the pressure on the lower back. And then from right here, we're gonna stand up tall. We'll do it slowly at first, and then we'll speed up as we go. So we're gonna stand up nice and tall. And at that top position, we're gonna get an anterior tilt in the pelvis. So that way we engage the glutes and reinforce that lumbo-pelvic hip connection. So that way we keep everything nice and engaged. So at this top position right here, let's get into that posterior tilt. Stand up nice and tall. Nice neutral neck position. And we're gonna hinge, and then we'll hold that bottom position. So hold that bottom position, tuck the neck slightly so we have a nice neutral neck position. You're gonna keep your gaze about 10, 15 or so feet in front of you, so that way you can keep that same position each time. So we don't wanna get into excessive neck bend on the top or the bottom. Shoulders up a little bit higher. So just bring your body up a little bit more. Torso.
Oh, okay.
There you go, sorry. So that way, shoulders are above the hips. So again, we take the pressure off the lower back. And then we're gonna stand up nice and tall at the top. Boom. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna speed that up.
Okay.
So we're gonna speed up the descent. So it's gonna look like this. You're gonna come down fast, hold for a second, and then pop up fast.
Okay.
Okay, so come down fast, hold. Pop up, hold. Let's do it again, down, hold. Pop up, hold. Perfect, so now we're gonna speed that up even more. We're gonna have no pause at the bottom. So you're gonna have a quick descent and a quick ascent.
Okay.
So imagine like a swing at the top position, hike, snap.
Okay.
Ready, down and up. Boom, hold it. Make sure you're not bending backward to the top, standing nice and tall. Again, down and up. Good, keeping that front line engaged. So imagine someone's gonna come punch you in the stomach.
She does it all the time.
Down and up. Good. Keep that gaze again about 10 or so feet in front of you, so that way you're not cocking your head back on the bottom position.
Okay.
Feel that loading of the hamstrings as you hinge back. Ready? Down and up. Don't come down too low. Make sure shoulders are still at an upward angle from your hips.
Cool.
Down and up. So now we're gonna keep it right there. We're gonna just keep going. So I'm gonna say go, and you're gonna come down and up. Let out a little breath at the top. Don't let out all the air. Make sure you still have that intra-abdominal tension. And we're gonna go down and up until I say stop. Ready, set, go. Boom, boom, keep going. Tuck your chin just a hair. There you go, keep going. Shoulders above hips. Oh, fantastic. You're working everything with this, which is why I love this movement, because there's so much bang for your buck. You can have your client do it, and look, you can have someone who's never done the movement do it very simply, and it's the same movement pattern as a kettlebell swing, but without all the potential of it hurting your back, in that the bell is going to pull you down, or that you swing too high, or you don't do it properly. There's a lot less timing involved, so we're able to slow it down, we're able to break it apart, and then we're able to speed it up, put it all together, so that way it can get more powerful.
What's the most common mistake that somebody makes doing that? The number one.
The number
thing that you
one
always
would
have to
be
correct?
that they either round on the way down or hyperextend on the way up. So that's why I really like to establish those start and end points. That hinge, establish this position, get strong in that position, build the foundation there, and then that standing point, so they know where they have to go in between. And as long as they keep that back nice and straight, they keep that tension through the core, then they'll be fine. Because that's typically when people complain about back pain, it's because they don't have enough tension in the front. The kettlebell in front kind of fixes that, because you automatically have that tension while you're pushing the bell against you.
Exercise number 2 for volleyball players.
Okay, so the next movement, we're gonna do a 2-hand rotational clean. So the 2-hand version is going to allow for just about anybody to do the movement, and then the rotational movement or the rotational aspect of this is going to allow you to start that process in that ballistic rotational pattern. Because just like what you're doing every day when you're playing, there's a lot of rotation happening ballistically that people don't typically train for. Okay. So what the movement is going to look like, the bell is going to be on one side. We're going to rotate in. I'm going to grab onto the bell with one hand. So ideally I do this with one hand, but for beginners, I'm going to put this other hand right here. I'm going to explode up and rotate 90 degrees to that other direction. So right now, I'm using a light enough bell so that I can really demonstrate how the bell is not going up and over, it's rotating around the forearm. That is the key point here, that we want to make sure that the bell doesn't do this. The bell is going to rotate around, nice loose grip, right into that rack position.
Okay, so right hand is on the handle.
Right hand is on the handle. So the
Left
first
hand
thing let's
comes.
establish is with 2 hands, just bring the bell up into the rack position. So on the right side, get all this sand out. So without this hand, just hold this position. I want to have a slight flex of the wrist. So we want to have that nice vertical forearm. Everything is engaged, lats engaged, shoulders down, chest is nice and proud. We always want to have this landmark established. So regardless of where we catch it off to the right, whatever, it's always going to stay nice and vertical.
Okay.
So hand on the other hand.
Not like this. We don't.
Not like that, which is typically what happens first time. So hand on the bell, or hand on your hand, I mean, bring it down across the body. So from right here, we want to make sure we have that nice, straight, slightly extended back, and we're going to explode, and you're going to rotate towards me. So, perfect. Back
Kind of flew a little bit. Okay.
Keep it tight to the body, let it just come up and around. Perfect.
Okay.
And then try to pivot all the way to you're facing me. That's it. One more. Beautiful. So we're getting lower body engagement, we're getting upper body engagement, we're getting rotational power, rotational forces are at play, but doing it in a very safe way, as opposed to just focusing on spinal rotation like with a band or some kind of rotational tool.
So this is probably helping, like when I'm taking off, if we did it the other way, when I'm taking off and I'm slightly rotating for a spike, we can get that little bit of rotation upon takeoff that's going to start my arm swing.
Absolutely. All sports happen in rotation. Everything's done unilaterally, so that's why I like to do that with the weights.
Cool. All right. And that is targeting rotation.
Rotation, glutes, unilateral work, so one side at a time, shoulders, still working some grip, and upper back as well.
Should I do that as fast as possible, or should we just start controlling?
Fairly controlled at first, so start off very light, so that way you can just kind of establish the trajectory of the bell so that you see it doesn't come up and over. And then eventually, as you go up and up and up in weight, you're going to need to be explosive because you're not going to be able to curl the weight up. It's going to be predominantly lower body.
Okay, so that's kind of like hang cleans and power cleans.
Exactly.
Where like, you can't do this once it gets heavy.
Yep.
So once it gets so heavy,
Perfect.
then it won't like fly and bounce. It'll just sit there.
Yep.
Exercise number 3. He's still got the pink kettlebell, just in case you guys are wondering.
I'd go lighter if I could. Next move we're gonna do is a bottom up march. So the bottoms up position is one of my favorite things to do with just about every athlete because it's going to lessen the wear and tear of what's already happening, a lot of ballistic work, snatches, presses, but it's creating a lot of stability, which is strength. So
can you pause for 1 second? What do you mean when you say ballistic work?
Fast.
So got it.
Pulling fast, swings, hang cleans, snatches, power cleans, things like that.
Okay.
That can put a lot of tear on the shoulders. And then last time I checked, volleyball has a lot of wear and tear on the shoulders as well.
Just a wee bit.
Just a little bit. So how about we create a lot of stability, a lot of structural integrity around that joint so that way we can try to lessen the effects of the damaging effects, potential damaging effects of the sport.
I like it.
So that's where a lot of this stuff came from, was training a lot of fighters where shoulders were an issue. Basketball players, volleyball players where shoulders were an issue. Couldn't do a lot of presses. They didn't have either the mobility or they lacked the strength to be able to do that stuff without doing it without feeling injuries. So,
okay.
Bottoms up position. This is just going to be literally upside down. So now when you hold this bell upside down, immediately what happens is everything has to just lock into place. Immediately your lats engage, all the musculature around the shoulder complex is all engaged to keep this bell from hitting you in the face. So the other thing that's happening is you're getting a lot of grip strength by holding that. You're getting a lot of core strength by maintaining that tension. So bring that bell up, hold it right there.
Jesus.
Perfect. Would you like to switch bells?
Well, what if my hands are sweaty?
They always say that. It's always
nervous.
the hands are sweaty. So if your hands are sweaty, a little bit of chalk works.
Okay.
But otherwise, hold the bell upside down. From here, exactly. Anything that will dry your hands.
Oh,
You can also use this hand as a support in case it feels really iffy.
Cool.
If it feels really iffy, just don't do it. Go into the rack position.
Okay.
But if the bell's light enough, we're gonna go from here, shoulder down, forearm is nice and vertical, and we're just gonna go into marches, forward and back. And on the sand, it makes it so much more fun, so much more engaging. Ooh. Oh, so what I would do with this is I would walk. Take a few steps forward, take a few steps back, go sideways, cross step.
God.
There we go. And we move around.
I'm not even holding it up though, and it's tiring.
And hand on the bell, down. So, what do you feel when you're doing it?
So it's not like tiring my shoulder, it's tiring everything around my shoulder, like all the protectors, all the rotator cuff. But just from, that's crazy.
Yes, it is by far one of the most useful movements or positions you could do with the kettlebell. That seems like it would be kind of gimmicky, like, oh, turn the kettlebell upside down. But you see what's happening. All those muscles are coming into play to help protect the shoulder.
That felt like I just went through like 3 minutes of band work and 30 seconds of holding that without moving it.
Yep, combine it with some walking, a lot of core work.
Nice, I'm using that. All right,
Awesome.
number 4.
Number 4, so next one we're gonna do is a windmill. So the windmill is a fantastic exercise to now get a little bit more extension, a little bit more stretch through the shoulder, through the pec.
Yes,
and
so we can hit hard.
So you can
This is
hit
what
hard.
the people want. They want to know how to hit hard. How do kettlebells make me detonate?
But then
go.
also, again, create stability through different planes. So typically when we're doing any kind of shoulder work, we're doing horizontal pressing, vertical pulling. Now we're getting some rotation, we're adding in some core work, and we're getting some more stability from more of those little stabilizer muscles that we're not typically gonna hit just doing presses.
Okay.
So what it's gonna look like, I'll show you first. I'm gonna get a bunch of sand in my face. So keeping that bell overhead, I'm rotating my feet 45 degrees, and I'm gonna hinge at my hips while opening up my chest. So I'm trying to rotate as I come down. So now I'm holding this position right here. I'm feeling this on my glutes, feeling this on my hamstrings, definitely feeling this throughout my entire trunk and through the shoulder. So I'm gonna keep that stability of that bell, keep that arm vertical as I rotate through the different positions. Stand up straight, turn your feet 45 to the left. You're gonna place the kettlebell right on the inside of the left foot. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that my client or my athlete has the necessary overhead mobility. So bring your right arm overhead, keep it vertical, or whatever Janelle's doing.
Trying to reach out.
Keep that arm vertical, pull your shoulder down, engage your lats, keep your eyes on your upper hand. So with that hinge, you're going to pick grab onto the bell with your left hand and just hold that position right there. So I want to make sure that I'm getting a little bit more rotation, so that way I'm not flexing laterally so much. So I'm gonna not just come straight across, I'm gonna come in as I come down. There you go.
This is a stretch on its own.
I know, I feel it
hip up, just
already.
hold it right there.
Should this leg be straight or slightly bent?
The back leg is gonna be straight, not locked out, and then that front leg will be slightly bent. So making sure that we're keeping as much extension through the spine, trying to keep that tension right there. Pull shoulders back.
I feel the stretch.
Take a breath in, hold that breath, and now pick up the bell till you're in a standing position. Good, and then rotate a little bit more, Janelle, as you come down, so rotate in as you come down.
Okay.
So you're down, bring it down. Perfect, beautiful. And back up. And down. Still thinking one straight line from your hips to the crown of your head. Back up.
This is like almost like an RDL from my right leg.
And bring the bell down. And relax. So again, the main thing I want to focus on is not just laterally flexing. I'm trying to keep this hinge. So the same position I would keep my torso in here, I'm going to keep here. So I'm just adding that rotation as I hinge.
Okay.
So what I want to avoid is rotating and flexing. I want to rotate, but from extension. So that way I don't put too much pressure on any
from here, not
particular
from here.
disc.
Yeah.
Felt like my top position wasn't correct.
Top position was great. So as long as hand is vertical,
Okay.
because all again I want to do is establish that my client has the ability to get into that position without injuring themselves.
Okay.
So if that feels good, then let's go ahead and bring that bell up with the right arm. So keep your foot position the same. Bell up with the right arm.
So like this?
Yep, all the way overhead. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep your eyes on that bell.
Okay.
And we're only gonna go as low as your left hand sliding down and touching your left knee.
Oh,
So keeping that back leg vertical
I've got long arms.
and back down, and back up, I mean.
My hands touch my knee standing.
So,
I'm a volleyball player.
so as you come down, so watch me from right here, don't do anything yet. I'm gonna look up at this hand. I'm gonna kick this hip out. I'm gonna straighten that back leg. Both feet are turned to the left. And all I'm gonna do is, if you're already touching your knee, then just touch a few inches lower than that and hold it. There you go, without shifting your body weight. All I'm doing is hinging.
Oh, jeez.
And
This
then
is
back
a
up.
low
So we're
back
to the
work.
inside of the leg. There you go. Yeah, and then imagine there's a wall right here pushing your hips out that way. Perfect.
Oh my gosh.
And I was gonna say one more time, but
Yeah, I
then
got you.
decided- There we go. Let's keep going, Mark.
She's not tough.
You got
Back
it.
up, and then hold that bottom position for just a second. Hold it right there. So notice, back leg is pretty vertical. Entire arm is vertical. A lot of tension right here. A lot of stability needed. Wrist is nice and flexed. Back to standing, and bell down.
So bell down, like when I come from
Yes,
here
down to the rack. Perfect. And
down,
then
so it's like kind of resting on my shoulder.
exactly. That's the rack position.
Okay. All right.
And down. Boom. So
That was low back, dude.
a lot of trunk stability needed there.
Cool.
So,
And this is
shoulder, and you see that flexibility needed in the shoulder. You're getting some flexibility through the pec. You're getting a lot of engagement through your upper back. You're getting obviously a lot of engagement through your entire trunk. If you're not pressurizing that front, you'll feel it more in the back. So you want to make sure you're keeping that tension on that front side.
okay.
And then, like you said, you're feeling like an RDL. You're getting that stretch through that glute of that planted leg. I mean, they're both planted, but that back leg, you're getting a stretch through the glute, stretch through the hamstrings. So great way to build stability, build strength, lower body as well as upper body.
So for a lot of players that I work with, they're not able to really hit hard, and we spend a lot of time trying to open up their pecs and stretch because they can't get a big hitting window. So this feels like it's encouraging or almost demanding that you have a big wide open pec.
Totally.
What do you do if people are tight and rolled forward there? How can they get into that position?
So just holding that top position, holding that bottoms up position even, that creates that structure. So we think of stability and strength as two different things, like an isometric hold and then the strength of doing the movement. But stability is strength. So if you can build stability in ranges that you're not used to, now you're going to have strength through those increased ranges. So the next movement is really going to help with that, and it's actually a better start to the windmill. But what I love about the windmill again is just it's a full body exercise, being able to just help the athlete get stronger and increase their mobility.
Okay, so if we go to the end range and we have to work our muscles at the end range, then our body gets more comfortable being there. So that's gonna like almost like have the same benefits as stretching my pec by
Better
working
benefits,
at the end.
because now we're doing it loaded, so now your nervous system is going to be more involved. Because there is a weight, there is more at stake here. So as long as we're doing this in a very stable, not dangerous way, so we want to make sure we have that control, and we can just push that area to have a little bit more mobility, within reason, then we're going to have, again, more range to work with. So it's going to allow us to be more powerful, when before we're super kyphotic, super rounded. Now we can open up. We're just going to have more strength from that position.
Cool. Camera woman, this is an exercise for you. All right,
Pull the shoulders back, please.
last one. Numero cinco.
So, and to answer your previous question about opening up the shoulders, I love this movement, this exercise, to do that, and also to build a little bit more awareness through rotation. But it's going to be very simple to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold the belt in the rack position. You're going to stand square, and I'm going to open up. So it's a shoulder opener. I'm going to open up the shoulder and rotate as far as I feel comfortable. So as I'm rotated back, my forearm stays vertical. I'm dropping my arm down, so I'm trying to almost bring my tricep to my lat, and I'm squeezing my glutes, so that way I don't put too much pressure on my lower back. And then I'm gonna come right back. So I'm gonna open up big, close it off.
Oh, so lift as we go
Lift
back.
the elbow, exactly.
Then
So
drop it
almost like
down.
exactly.
Okay.
And then back. So squeeze your glutes, keep that tension, and let's just do a few on one side. So big open, reaching back.
So for like throwers and people who are swinging who can't
Back.
externally rotate a lot,
Yep.
this is gonna do it for them.
Every client I had do this, in first impression, the first thing they felt was, my shoulders feel great. As long as they didn't have any major impingements or major imbalances, they felt so much better than any amount of stretching, because now what's happening? You're feeling so much more lat engagement than you would ever feel if you were just doing
all
shoulders,
happened, like, right here.
everything. And that's such an incredible area for the shoulder that we don't think about, because it's essentially the shelf, the foundation for the shoulder. So this is going to help, again, with all the stabilizers. Let's go to the other side.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna try this one, Janelle. We're gonna open up and back, reach back, squeeze glutes, and come back.
This is awesome for every one of my players who's got like that no external rotation, so they can't generate hard swings. This is gonna open up like, dude,
Exactly.
you're giving
And
me new tools.
wear and tear at a minimum, as opposed to doing a ton of presses that don't really benefit the athlete if they don't need them. As long as they have that range of motion and we can build that strength of the shoulder from these different positions, we can extend the life of the athlete without, again, just throwing a bunch of movements at them. Just increase the speed by.
This is a good one for swings, to be able to get that external rotation comfortably and with some power. And now that stretch and strength in that position. Ooh, nice, man. I like it. Cool. So that is 5 kettlebell exercises every volleyball player should know. Really cool stuff, because I didn't think that we would do anything close to that. I was anticipating like learning all the swings that you see in every single kind of kettlebell video promotion, people chucking it up, throwing one hand and everything like that. Love how versatile it is and how we can apply it completely to volleyball, opening up hitting windows and rotational strength for power.
Exactly.
Awesome. Anything to close out?
No, I want to try to make things as accessible as possible for every level, and not get married to a type of training or intensity level just because an athlete's at a certain level. I mean, even high-level athletes can really benefit from just scaling back, focusing on these kind of key movements, and that's going to unlock all kinds of athletic potential.
Awesome. Kettlebell exercises on Instagram. Find him. He's got a whole bag of awesome exercises and workouts. Thank you guys for joining us. Share it with your friends if you liked it.